Hello and welcome back to the Stronghold. I'm the Magi and, well, Happy New Year for those of you that aren't in Asia, in which case I'm about a month and a half early. At any rate, Ether Drift is so close at hand, you can hear the screech of the tires on the asphalt. Today, over on my Patreon, I dropped an article talking about some of the things that we know about this set and this race thus far. And right here, right now, I thought we would talk about the very best vehicles that are available on Arena, because Ether Drift is going to bring us a ton of new ones, as well as probably new ways to interact with existing ones. But before we get into all that, let's not forget that Ether Drift is a story of speed and competition, sometimes with violent consequences, and of course, it's also a love story. But perhaps most importantly, it's a great little reminder that you need to race right over to my Twitch affiliate channel and subscribe right away, because not only do I stream over there 3 or more times a week on average, there is a 2-week video on demand archive for you, all absolutely free. Link in the description. Now, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, right. But before we get into the top 5 vehicles, there are a couple of runner-up points that I want you to keep in mind. For instance, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty and the Kaladesh Remastered both had 2-color archetypes that dealt very strongly with vehicles, and at least for Eternal, I think we need to keep that in mind when evaluating new cards that may come up. In addition, there are a few vehicles available on Arena which I have intentionally excluded from the top 5. Sovereign Console Flagship, the Ether Sphere Harvester, as well as Heart of Karen, all had impressive impacts on the game. However, those impacts occurred during their standard playability, and that did not coincide with the Arena period. And our final runner-up is Vader's Caravan, a card that was recently reprinted on Arena as part of the Foundations release. Although this is a wild card only, you won't ever get this out of a draft or a pack as far as I know. The reason I bring it up is it is a 3-mana rock that can also crew for 3 and become a 5/5, which makes it pretty darn interesting. Particularly if you are a standard Brawl player, I think you need to add one of these to your collection. At number 5, the Parhelion 2 is practically angelic as a 5/5 legendary artifact vehicle with flying, first strike, and vigilance. And we hadn't even got to the good part yet. Whenever it attacks, create 2 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance that are attacking. Oh, and it crews for 4. The only real downside here for Parhelion is that it cost a whopping 8 mana. But who cares, because we're just going to trade it in with Greasefang Akiba Boss. 3 mana 4/3. At the beginning of combat on your turn, return target vehicle card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Return it to your hand at the beginning of the end step. That's a lot of value for a 3-mana Greasefang. At number 4, Smuggler's Copter, a 2-mana 3/3 artifact vehicle with flying and crew 1, is a bit of an all-star in its all-right, having come to us in Kaladesh, but only recently added to Arena. The reason being this card was so good it got banned in multiple formats and wasn't unbanned until as recently as December 2023. We haven't seen a lot for this yet on Arena. I think it's only a matter of time before this card it gets broken again, and really Ether Drift might be the set that does it. At the very least, I think owning a one of these for your Brawl decks is a very solid investment. Unlicensed Hearse comes in at number 3 for 2 very solid reasons. First, its repeatable ability to hate on graveyards while making itself a bigger potential threat. This 2-mana vehicle with a star power and toughness equal to the number of cards it has exiled from graveyards and a crew cost of 2 did very solidly in standard for that graveyard hate ability, and it will continue to do good work for you in all of those eternal formats as graveyards continue to become more and more relevant. Asika's Chariot is in at number 2 for 3 very good reasons. It creates 2 2/2 green creature cat tokens when it enters the battlefield. It's also a 4-mana 4/4 that crews for 4. And whenever it attacks, you create a token that's a copy of target token you control. So it's basically a crazy cat lady starter car. It's really quite fantastic and very often seen running in the same circles as Greasefang, our favorite ninja pilot gangster from Kamigawa. I'm sure my number 1 pick for vehicle on Arena is really no surprise to anyone. Of course, it's Reckoner Bankbuster. This 2-mana 4/4 with a crew 3 enters with 3 charge counters on it. So imagine this, you play Bankbuster on 2. On 3, you play your 3x drop on curve. You tap it to crew your Bankbuster and swing the Bankbuster for 4 ahead of curve. Very, very nice, and we'll usually do that for a turn or 2. Then when it's no longer profitable to swing with the Bankbuster, you can pay 2 and tap it, remove one of its charge counters to draw a card, and then when there's no more charge counters left on the Bankbuster, create a treasure token and a 1/1 colorless pilot creature token that crews as though its power were 2 higher. This card not only represents ridiculous value in 60 card constructed in any color deck, but it's also an absolute brawl star where I think everybody should have at least 1 copy of this. If you haven't tried it already, make sure to do so. Alright, so that wraps up the top 5 existing vehicles on Arena and a few other tidbits. And as we look forward to Ether Drift and they continue to fill in the blanks about the set, there are a few things about vehicles that we know for sure based on the 1 preview we've seen thus far. They are not afraid to print vehicles at lower rarity here. They're also not afraid to give us slightly overpowered power and toughness compared to mana cost, and they're willing to do some experimental things for alternate ways to crew a vehicle as opposed to just the typical crew cost. Alright guys, so those are my thoughts on the best vehicles currently available in Arena, where you should be playing them, and most importantly, as we prepare for Ether Drift, a few things to be aware of and thinking about as we evaluate cards from that set. But more importantly, I want to know what you think. What are your favorite vehicles? Why? And how do you use them? Get down in the comments, let us know what you think. Because hey, when we share information, we all get stronger together. And before we go, while every member of this community is important to me, I just wanted to take a moment and give a shout out to those patrons providing financial support and keeping the Stronghold from being a complete financial black hole. And of course, let me leave you with some suggestions for your next step here on the channel.